Be Heard movement, we operate, it's called a mobile drop-in center. And so we provide showers through a shower trailer, laundry through a laundry trailer, haircuts through a barbershop bus, clothing through a clothing trailer.
One of the things that you shared with me is that you said you can't control in life what's handed to you, but you can control what you hand to people. And let's say that there's 2,000 homeless people here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. How many of those do you think are under 18?
If I had to take a guess, I would say maybe 30%.
Just be thankful the next time that you shower.
Yeah, step one.
That's powerful. And I'm saying that I'm trying to process it all. Evan Dougood, welcome to the Willpower Podcast. How are you doing today, man?
Doing great.
Dude, I'm so excited to have you here. You were highly recommended by two people that I highly trust. One of them being Stephen Hester. You were on his podcast. It would be a great one for anybody listening to this to kind of hear a little bit about your story. I kind of want to get in a little bit deeper on kind of like what does the future look like for you? And then another one, which it was a higher compliment like we were talking about, was our social media let's call her our podcast producer. She's was like, you got to have this guy on. And I was like, are you sure? She was like, he's good. And I listened to a little bit of the conversation that you had with Steven, and I'm excited to jump on, man. So for anybody that hasn't heard your name, you are started the Be Heard movement. Mm-hmm. And for, I don't want to butcher it, so tell everybody what that is.
Yeah, so Be Heard movement, we operate, it's called a mobile drop-in center. So typically drop-in centers are brick and mortar buildings, but we are mobile. So there's only two in the United States. So it's one here, that's us, and my friend in Orlando runs Soul Outreach. And so we provide showers through a shower trailer, laundry through a laundry trailer, haircuts through a barbershop bus, clothing through a clothing trailer, case management, job program services, mail services, hygiene, and much, much more, all on wheels. And so we're able to take these trailers, these vehicles, all over Tulsa for services. And so people who had to walk 4 hours to have a shower, now they can finally walk, a couple feet to finally shower and feel human again.
So one of the things that I heard in the conversation you had with Steven was that a thing that gave your organization a big boost was a big donation that came from a random guy from California, and that put you to where you're now able to help give up to 60 showers a day.
Correct.
So do you have any other numbers of like what, like you said you're giving haircuts, like how many haircuts are you guys doing a day? Like how many, like what are those stats on your end as well too? Because I'm pretty curious on that.
Yeah, so since March, I believe it's 15th till now, we served, I think it's 5,205 people.
Okay.
That came through our gates to be heard. And so with that, we do, like I said, 50 to 60 showers a day, around 25 loads of laundry a day. And when haircuts are available, but probably around 20 haircuts a day as well. And there's a therapist on site for on-site mental health needs. Yeah. And then case management to help build a plan of what's step 1, step 2, step 3 to end your homelessness. So we're not just giving you a shower, we're trying to get you your own shower as well.
And how many of you've touched a lot of lives, but how many of these people, because you've been doing this since 2018, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that has been it's crazy to say that's been 6 years ago. And you were only 22?
22, yeah.
22. I don't think most 22-year-olds out there are doing that. But one of the things that I'm curious about is that I heard your story. You said that you were kind of doing some type of similar job like that full-time, and then you loved it so much that you were doing it on the weekends as well too. What are you doing to not get burnt out if that is pretty much like what you enjoy to do, right? Like, so pretty much somebody becomes maybe a personal trainer because they love fitness, but if you're in the gym all the time and that's your job, like it can quickly take the motivation of wanting to be there at all. Yeah. So what do you do to make sure that like the fire's still there today in 2024 as much as it was when you first started it?
Yeah, well first I want to say we have a great team, and so relying on them, their talents. You got to meet our new admin today and keeping us organized. So like having people in place who are passionate in their place to help the organization makes a huge difference. But I would say for me, what kind of keeps me grounded is always practicing gratitude. What does that mean? So I love always sharing our story. And it's more so for me, right? Not necessarily for the audience. It's to remind myself how far we have came from. So pretty much all we had when we first started Be Heard was a small camera on a snack pack. Fast forward to today, we have all these trailers, we have staff, we have an office space now. Like, we've never had that, and that never was the goal. Organically, it happened, but because we were just so thankful for our first ever storage unit. It was an 8x8 storage unit, $85 a month. We couldn't afford it, but we were just so excited to have a key to something and a few donations, and we were so thankful. It made us emotional to have a storage unit, and then us being grateful in that moment and being grateful in every win or struggle has helped us to be grounded, right? And so everything that as we recite our story, it keeps us grounded, so we don't take this for granted and say, hey, we did this. I did this myself. Like, no, I didn't do this myself. I was just in proximity to the need, and people helped us, meet that need. But at the end of the day, being grateful for where we are and knowing that we can't meet every need frees us to be present in the need currently today. Because, in this space, a lot of nonprofit leaders, the need is ever growing. And Tulsa has increased in homelessness 26%. So we're feeling that weight as well. A lot of phone calls, a lot of help. I don't know, I might die tonight. Like, what do you do with that? And that can weigh on you. So if we don't take care of ourselves, and then also practice gratitude, we're going to burn out and then also hurt lives on the way out.
One of the things that you shared with me is that you said when we asked you, like, what's the biggest piece of advice that you've heard, and you said you can't control in life what's handed to you, but you can't control what you hand to people. And man, that describes your life, it sounds like, and it sounds like why you guys have had success. Tell me, you said that has rose 26%. Is that over a year time? Over a year. Mm-hmm. How many do you have the numbers on? Like, I think Tulsa metro area, we're just at about 1 million people. Is that correct?
I believe so, yeah.
So what's the percentage of homeless people that we have here in Tulsa?
Yeah, so each year we do a thing called a point in time count, which is all organizations lock arms and try to count. It's like a census, try to count the homeless population. We do our best, so it's never accurate. So I think last year it was like 1,100, if I'm not mistaken. But I truthfully believe it's around that 2,000 mark easily. Especially if the numbers were from the public schools. I think there's like 1,000 kids that are experiencing homelessness too. So it's probably way more than what we think or what we have documented and the data that supports it. Just because homelessness is so hard to track and keep track of, and so it's probably way more than we think. So I'm not going to hold you to this number, but I'm curious because you hit on something that I don't think that very many people think of, and out of those 2,000, let's say that there's 2,000 homeless people here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. How many of those do you think are under 18? There's probably a lot. If I had to take a guess, I would say maybe 30%.
30%
Yeah,
of those 2,000.
That's my guess. Like, I could be right or wrong, but I'm just going off my experience. And so before I started, if you heard, I worked at youth services that helps youth experiencing homelessness under 24. And there was people 16, 17, 18, 19 living in a tent in the woods. Spending their Christmases, their birthdays in the woods with no family. And it's just really shocking to see people who are once like me and that young having to live in the woods.
Like I said, I'm not going to hold you to it, but I wanted you to answer that because if anybody has a more educated guess than anybody, it's somebody like you that's experiencing it every single day. So I think that that's a way higher number than if you were to just go on the street. Let's say you go to South Tulsa, right? And then you ask people, what percentage do you think is kids under 18? And they would probably maybe think like 5%, 10%. That's a lot of people. So you doing just showers alone, 60 showers a day.
That's a lot.
Every day, like Monday through what? Like the entire, like every single day, or like?
So it was Wednesday through Saturday. Yeah.
Wednesday through Saturday. I mean, that's covering a good chunk of like, how many of those 2,000 people do you think you're reaching in a monthly basis?
Yeah, I mean,
for any of the services, not just the showers.
In terms of like unduplicated services, we'll probably see around like 300 people unduplicated each month. And so, but if you duplicate that number, then it's around like that 5,000 check-in mark. And so it's still a lot of people that we see. I mean, we often see people who have a home, but behind their water bill who need to, wash their clothes for work to pay for their water bill. That's been a new need that we've also have experienced. But then to answer your point, we've seen a lot of kids who live in cars with their families coming to just, hey, can I take a shower? Actually, one kid was so excited to shower. He had a coloring book and he gave it to us. And in it, he drew a picture of a shower and said, "Thank you so much. This made me happy." And I mean, he's probably maybe 6 or 7. I believe somewhere around that age. But it's just like stuff like that you see every day, and it can really wear on you. But knowing that like you did the best you can, and people got to shower for once, because now people are going, or people used to go 3 months without a shower, and imagine if how that would affect you and your relationship with your you're married, with even with your work relationship. Like it would affect everything. We probably wouldn't have a job because we wouldn't be hygiene enough to even keep a job. And so it's been tough for people not to shower, especially in the Oklahoma's heat as well.
It's so crazy how we take so many things for granted, as little as a shower, right? Even like a car, for example, like people, you don't really realize how much you take your car for granted until you don't have it. Maybe it's at the shop, true. just getting an oil change, and you're like, man, I have a guy on my team right now that he hasn't had his car for about a week, and he's like, dude, this is miserable. Like he's still employed here, but he's just like, it's so hard because part of our business is also to like be networking and be in front of other people, so he can't really go out and meet other people. So but let alone like a shower, like you definitely take that for granted. Whether you consider yourself wealthy, middle class, or poverty level, if you have a home and you have access to even a cold shower at that, you're definitely a lot more privileged than and we're just talking here in the United States. We're not even talking, so many, I when I tell my story, I tell people, my mom had me when she was 17, and we grew up, very poor, but I tell them like poor looks different even in a country that's just south of us than poverty here. And I believe that there's, countries outside of Mexico that experience poverty at an even worse level than that. So yeah, man, it's just good to have you on here to kind of get some perspective and kind of hear a little bit of what other people are kind of struggling with. And it's just very motivating to hear what you're doing, especially at a very young age. So let's go back to that. The only other people doing this is out in Orlando. And is that the guy, is you said his name is Eric, is that correct?
Yeah, Eric.
Okay, so what is, you talked about that he gave you some advice, you maybe see him as a mentor to what you guys are doing. So talk to me a little bit about how he has helped you build what you have here.
Yeah, so their nonprofit's called Salt Outreach. They've been around for over, I think, 11 years. And they started this way before us, obviously, and they have the knowledge, the experience. They're also young adults. They're a little bit older than us, but we lean on them for their advice, to learn, to grow. Our board has a saying of stewardship and sustainability is our foundation. And so we lean on them to advise on, hey, how can we do this better? What do you think about this? And so they really step into that place to help us with our blind spots, help us grow, and help us make sure we're meeting a need that's actually there, and we're not just assuming that we're meeting a need. And so a lot of mentorship, as they play a role in that.
Did you get in contact with them before you started this?
Yeah, we reached out, and when we did, we became like best friends. And he just took us under his wing, and they've been awesome. So we go to Orlando once a year to just go there to learn, to be family with them, check on them as well, but also learn.
Something I want to go back to is, you said it's so, I feel so grateful seeing where we started and where we're at now. You talked about your team. How big is your team right now? Yeah, so now we have 10, team of 10, and we have 5 full-time and 5 part-time. So I want to point out that the reason why everything is where it is today is because you looked at yourself in the mirror and you realized, I can't do this by myself. Correct. And you seem like the guy, you haven't said it, this is my first time meeting you, but you seem like the guy that as soon as you walked in and you introduced your admin, you said, she's the one that keeps us organized, right? One of the things that I attribute any success that I've had is that I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm not good at. And I think that most people have a hard time with that because they feel like, this is my baby, right? Like I can do it all, right? I constantly have to have conversations with my team on if we want to grow, if you want to feel like you're not drowning with work during the day, you have to get help from your team members. You have to be able to delegate. You have to be able to get help, honestly, just as basic as that is. And so many people, why do you think it was easy for you to just reach out for a hand? And how did you find, because sometimes it's hard finding people for the right job. So walk me thugh you expanding your team from just you to a couple to where you're at now?
Yeah. And so one thing I've always told myself is, you don't go as far as your dream, you go as far as your team. And so the more our team is unified, the more impact we can have, right? And so we do take that very seriously. And so when I first started to Be Heard, we did hire a few people, and it's not your traditional job, because typically jobs have everything lined out with onboarding, offboarding. This is our expectations. We were still trying to build it. So people who had a job with structure, with 1, 2, 3, when they came here, it was very frustrating for them, because like, what are we doing? There's no order here. I'm like, yes, we're trying to create order, but we need your experience to do that. But that's not everybody's expertise, and we learned that very quickly. And so we soon found out that we want to be more strategic on how we hire people, and just and how we do that. So we have an HR person on our board who also oversees like different applications. She'll send me, hey, this person might be a good fit. This person will be as well. So to build a team for me is to find people who are I can put in place where my weaknesses are, and they have their strengths there that can complement that. So for me, I'm not very organized. So our admin is keeping us very organized. And for me, I'm not big on like the financial pieces. I just want to do the work. So we're having a financial assistant starting next week. We also have an accountant as well. And so having people to complement the vision and to keep the main thing for me has been key for me. For us, we started doing documentaries. We started doing homeless cooking shows. We just want to share people's stories. And so we want to get back to those roots of doing that. And also the mobile showers, everything else we have is great. But having people that are passionate and has a lot of strengths in that has helped our vision out even more to grow it. So once again, I know I started with just me, but our team has really grown this to what it is today.
And you guys are a nonprofit, right?
Correct.
So one of the things the reason I'm bringing that up is because I was having coffee with an agent, and he was telling me about how his wife works for a nonprofit, and we were talking about how his business is doing and everything, and he was telling me that how he said my wife makes this much a year, but there could be times where she doesn't get paid because it's a nonprofit. So that's another thing too that I didn't know about that until he told me that. So you guys got momentum from that big donation that you got, but talk to me about how hard it is to maybe hire somebody that you say we're a nonprofit. So if we run out of funds, like I know this is your salary, this is how much you get paid an hour, we can't pay you if we don't have any money. Yeah. And how have you kept this going, and not just going, how have you been able to keep it growing?
Yeah. That's a very great question. And so we have known 2 nonprofits this year to shut down due to funding. And especially after COVID, that happened a lot frequently as well. But even this year alone, 2 nonprofits that we were close with shut down. And just to see the tears that they had, the trauma, the confusion, the people they were serving was like, wait, where are you guys going? And like, we ran out of money. That's very real. And even a political year is very tough for nonprofits to raise money as well. And so
why is that?
I'm not too sure. I don't have any data to support that, but I just know through we have a nonprofit support group. It meets once a month, and they all feel the same about it's always tough during election year. So, but yeah, so it's just so sad to see nonprofits shut down. They just want to do the good work, but that's why it's really important to have a good team, but also you need funding, right? Because no money, no mission. And so we have a full-time grant writer, but her job is very hard, right? Because if we don't meet these goals or objectives, then we have no money to do our mission, which means we can't provide showers. And so to fundraise is very tough, especially I've never done this before. And so truthfully, it's really been all God, because every day I have to wake up and say he's the funder, because I am not that, in my own opinion, not that smart, not that witty enough to fundraise all this money, right? And I'm not from Tulsa. I don't have the connections. All we have is, hey, we're pretty decent at social media. Let's lean in that, right? And that has helped us out tremendously. But at the end of the day, we need an accountant to support that, to navigate that, to help with build our reserves, sustainability, stewardship. And we're learning all of that. And we never want to shut down, but a mentor of mine challenged me, say, hey, if Be Heard shut down, what's your response? And I say, well, I would probably cry. However, Be Heard if it did shut down, my purpose wouldn't shut down. So I would probably still be in the woods, handing out snack packs like I did on day one. that would be very tough and very, to go from all these trailers to nothing. But in the end of the day, we're trying our best and we rely on funding. So like I said, no money, no mission.
Man, and going back to, you said you're not even from Tulsa. Hearing a little bit of your story makes me think of a basic cliche that people say, everything happens for a reason, right? Yeah. You're 15 years old, and one of the things that a lot of young adults or kids or at any point of your life people experience is their parents splitting up, and that's what you went through when you were 15 years old. And it sounds like it completely changed your life. You went and you moved out to where you weren't even with your mom and your dad, and you really leaned into sports. It sounds like basketball is kind of what kind of got you through that season. And then, of course, your dad kind of goes through this this heart health, scare, and that's what brought you to Tulsa.
Yeah.
And you said that you were going to be here for 1 year.
1 year.
Did you ever think when your sister said, "Hey, maybe you should come here because maybe maybe Dad's not going to be around for much longer," that you would be where you're at today here in Tulsa doing what you're doing?
Yeah, when she reached out, I was very upset because I was playing college basketball, and I love playing college basketball. And so I actually stopped. I stopped pursuing my dream and my passion, and I was going to school for nonprofit management, and I stopped it, and to make sure he was okay. So I moved to Tulsa, and like I said, it wasn't my plan. And when I moved here, he got better, and then organically things just kind of took off. But my original goal was to open up a rec center with all the house that had a therapist on site as well, because where we're from, basketball was all you have is basketball and rap, and so it's one or the other. And so all of my friends grew up playing basketball. Some are not alive now, but I feel like if they had a therapist at the rec center or somebody to talk to, they may still be alive. And so I wanted to do that, but I never had a plan to do this, but it just organically took off.
Back in Virginia or here in Tulsa?
Back in Virginia.
So that you always kind of had some type of plan of like, hey, correct, I want to do something to give back. You mentioned something that this wouldn't happen without God. You're very close to a church that has helped you guys a lot. It sounds like, but going back to when you were 15, and it sounds like you wrestled a lot with God with what was going on. You, your parents went through a divorce. You lost a close family member, and how do you get through that to still want to do something where you want to help people and get them closer to God to better their life? Like how did you overcome that?
Yeah, I mean during that time I was really upset at God because I feel like we went from having a whole family to now it's just me, and birthdays were just myself. Christmases were just by myself, and that was really hard, to fathom as a 15-year-old trying to just navigate life. And the only thing I ever prayed for was to have basketball scholarships. And so I would write down on a journal every day, I'm hoping for basketball scholarships. And while I'm doing that, I'm also working out. I'm waking up, I'm taking the city buses to go to the rec center as a 16, 15-year-old, and it was just very tough to. I was ranked in the state at one time, and then at the end of the day, I got no basketball scholarships. And people who sat the bench behind me, they got scholarships. And so I was so mad at God. I was very furious at him. I was confused. Like, why would my cousin pass away? Why would my parents be divorced? Why am I couch surfing and you didn't even hear my prayer? Why do you even care about me? And it took a while to make it make sense, because I think if those prayers were answered, I would never be talking to you. I would never be sharing our story of all the 5,000 people we helped. And so it makes sense now, but going through it was really tough. But what I kind of encourage people who are kind of having the same thing of, I prayed for something, but it didn't happen. There's a story in the Bible where 3 guys got thrown into a fire, and they said, if God saves me, God can save me, but even if he don't, I'm still going to serve him. And that's with any prayer that we should pray. Like I'm praying that my mom is healed from this cancer, but if not, I'm still going to serve you. And that's very tough to say. And just through that, learning that has helped me for today as well. Because now I'm in the same boat. I'm praying for some more funding. I'm praying for another trailer, praying for some more staff. But even if you don't, I'm still going to serve you.
I think that a lot of people need to hear that, because no matter how severe their prayer is, because at the end of the day, it really helped me look at the world a different way whenever I realized that if you're a, wealthy 15-year-old kid here in the United States and you just got a BMW and somebody ding that BMW, or whether you're a 15-year-old kid in a different country where you're very, very poor and you haven't eaten in the last week, both of those people are going through the same exact pain because that's all they've ever experienced. So a lot of the times it's as humans, no matter what your experience has been, you hear somebody that's praying for their mom to be cancer free, or somebody else that's praying for a job, and you're like, well, clearly this is more painful, right? Yeah. Because of the scale of pain in the world. But you never know how it's truly affecting people in their own personal life based on what they've experienced, right? So I just hope that people can truly believe that. And still be able to kind of keep on, because at the end of the day, I look back and like, I would never want my son to go through anything I went through, but I would never give back what I went through because without that, I wouldn't be here. Yeah. So talk to me about what would you be doing if you weren't doing this?
Yeah. I mean, I have no clue. I would, like I said earlier, I wanted to have my own rec center with, a therapist on site, but maybe a clothing store, or some sort of basketball training facilities, what I would like. But I haven't really thought about that though.
Clothing store, where does that come from?
I just feel like growing up, we loved, looking good and obviously wearing clothes, but we just had a passion of just wearing just nice clothes and make people feel good, right? And I think the passion was you look good, you feel good, and we want other people to look good as well and feel good. So,
and that actually kind of goes with what you're doing now a little bit too, is because I mean, I don't know about you, but I've definitely experienced whenever there'll be times even recently where I'll be out cycling and I'll be out there for a long time and I literally have salt all over me because like, I don't know why, but I like get salt all over me more than like anybody else just because I'm sweating so much. And walking out of that shower feels like I'm a new me, right? You, yeah. And then not only with that, but you guys have a clothing, you help the homeless with getting them new clothes. So if you're going to be doing things that you most likely wouldn't have done if you felt bad about yourself and you're like, nobody wants to be around me, all this stuff, that people just, I mean, they go through like hard mental moments. I mean, that's why the homeless community has a lot of mental issues on that. And it's whenever you add one thing and another, I can definitely see how that can be a problem.
I mean, there's people that we met the first day when they were homeless, and then this day 90, they're a different person. Day one, you still have a little sanity, right? And day 90, you are in survival mode. You have PTSD, you have anxiety, you haven't eaten in a week, you haven't showered in 3 months, and then people label you as crazy, but you just hungry, and it's just crazy how we really take a shower for granted, right? We're grateful. We have the privilege to walk 4 steps to shower, but they have to walk 4 to 5 hours to shower or just hope to find a creek. And yet we label them as crazy and saying, hey, go get a job, when you can't get a job if you don't have an address or a shower. And, so a shower does so much for our society that we just take it for granted because it's so accessible to the traditional family. But I really think if we, reevaluate the power of a shower, we'll be even more grateful for the opportunity and willing to give that opportunity to somebody else, right? Like I said, from day 1, day 90, they're a whole different person, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And it's sad to see our friend James go from, I'm going to get a job till, hey, I can't get no job. People think I'm trash. People think I stink. You know what? I am a bum. And that gets ingrained into your identity. And then people ask, well, why don't you just do X, Y, and Z, get on homelessness? They can't because society has deemed them as as bums, as, you're beneath me, and don't ever be like them, And so it's just when there are neighbors that just don't have an address. And so I think we put so much weight and value on an address. I think that's really kind of distorted our humanity a little bit. Like, if you don't have an address, you can't get certain documents or even just recognition. Even to apply for a job, what address do you put on a job application? You put homeless? Is that person going to hire you? Probably not. Because why? Because the stigma around that. And so once again, if they had a shower, if they had an address, they're more likely to get a job, more likely to go into housing. And that's the space we're trying to create for them, you know?
What can you pick one person that you can think of in the last 6 years and tell me their story of how what you guys are doing has changed to in where they were and where they're at right now?
Yeah, I mean, there are many. So right now, I just want to honor somebody. Her name is Rose. So I met her when she was 16, experiencing homelessness, right? And she was crying one day, and her stepmom had to choose between keeping her dad in the house or keeping her, and her stepmom chose her dad, and so that made her homeless. And so therefore she had a home, but she was abused and things there, and it wasn't healthy for her. So she chose to be homeless to survive, and her mom made her homeless. And so she was the sweetest person. We did a video on her on Instagram. It went viral, had like 4 million views, and people just like really loved her story. Unfortunately, she passed away. But one of the things she really wanted was a shower.
She passed away.
Mm-hmm. It was about maybe 2 years ago. But one of the things she always wanted was a shower. And so that was very heavy for us. And even how the idea of how we even got the shower trailer, we were just in proximity. I do surveys every month. And I said, hey, what are your top 3 needs? The top need was housing, obviously, but 2 and 3 was laundry and showers. And so we thought with Rose, if tacos can be on wheels, so can showers, but only because we're in proximity to the need. We were close enough in outreach with them. They were honest enough to say, hey, I really want a shower. Now, they probably wouldn't tell anybody that because it's embarrassing, right? If we haven't showered. And so they told me that. And because we heard them, we listened to them, we knew what to hope and pray for. And the fact that now she wanted a shower, but she can't see what Be Heard's doing today, but her legacy and impact lives on through Be Heard. Like today, she was one of those youth who wanted to share her story. She was one of the youth who wanted to shower, and we did it on behalf of Rose. And even though she's not here, like I said, her impact, her legacy lives on. She'll never know that, but we all meet it. You met it today, our impact. You've met Rose's impact today. That's very heavy, and we have to steward that. Because if we stop talking about Rose, her impact is also limited, and it stops as well. So as we talk, as we share these stories, it's because we want their stories to reach these spaces that they may never even be in, especially Rose, even going forward. But her story lives on through Be Heard.
Man, that's so powerful. Tulsa is pretty small per se compared to most cities, but are you able to cover, would you say, all of Tulsa as far as like, I know there's certain pockets where you have, more homelessness than others, but like, do you feel that you're reaching even all the homeless, like the 2,000 people that are scattered around?
It's a lot. So our trailers can go anywhere in Tulsa. We've been OKC. We're actually about to expand to Oklahoma City. And so originally, yes, we were going to South Tulsa, North Tulsa, downtown, obviously, West Tulsa, East Tulsa. However, after doing showers for like a year, we noticed that people who are in East Tulsa experiencing homelessness, like the Admiral Sheridan area, there was so much foot traffic over there. And it was one of our busiest locations besides downtown. And we were doing surveys, and that's when people were telling us, I haven't showered in 3 months. Then also we were seeing in that area, people were passing away more than any of the area from our experience.
In East Tulsa?
In East Tulsa. And there's no resources there. So like I said, the nearest resource and shower was a 4-hour walk back downtown. So can you imagine having to push a cart 4 hours walking distance in 100-degree heat just to say, hey, can I have a shower? Can I talk to case management? And to hope they say yes. So people weren't getting those services, but they were staying homeless longer and also dying on the street more in that area. So we decided as a board, as an organization, hey, being mobile in all pockets of Tulsa is great, but there's just one area of Tulsa that needs help right now. So we decided, hey, for the next 2 years, let's just stay in East Tulsa and create a presence there for services and support. And once that's built up, we're back mobile in other areas like Riverside, South Tulsa, things like that. So once again, that area is just us, and it's very tough for people to only shower a few times a week, which they're grateful for. But also, like, we close at 5. So at night, what do? They have to really survive for themselves and to hope to come back to Be Heard to feel safe again and shower again, and to from what they call us family. So they want to come back and see their family, come back and have their birthday at Be Heard, come back and get married at Be Heard. Actually, there was a lady, she passed away. We haven't seen her in a while, but her daughter lives in Germany. She flew to Tulsa to tell us, hey, my mom died, but she loved Be Heard. She used to come here and shower all the time. Can we please have her funeral next to the shower trailer? We were shook. We said, yes, ma'am. And we had her shower. We had her funeral next to the shower trailer. Our board president led that funeral, and we put some flowers on the shower steps of, hey, she loved these showers. She's no longer with us, but once again, her story, her legacy lives on. But we have to continue to provide these services and spread awareness, because if we stop talking about it, more people are going to die. More people are going to lose. It's going to affect their mental health. And it's going to increase 26%, 30% next year if we stop talking about stuff like this. And it's not an easy solution, but it takes all of us. And hearing these tough stories of somebody who passed away, who only just wanted a shower and just wanted a locked door for once in 6 years, that's hard to hear. But at the end of the day, we have to hear these things, and not just hear them, share them, like what you're doing, creating a space for us to share Rose's story and her platform, who may never reach this audience if it wasn't for you.
Man, that's powerful. And I'm saying that I'm trying to process it all, but it's tough to hear. I feel like most people that are listening to this are people that are not homeless, right? Correct. But let me ask you this. This is impacting those people, I hope, even 20% of how it's impacting me right now. Mm-hmm. How do you think, outside of the services that you're providing, that the change and the different stories, because there's hundreds, there's thousands, right, it's impacting the people that you guys are giving hope through those services? Like, let's say, Susie, who has been, knew the lady that passed away, or Rose maybe, and they're using those services, and as they're seeing these people pass away, and just how big of an impact you guys are doing, or like somebody getting married, like how is that impacting that? Like, is that shortening the amount of time that they're homeless, or like, are you able to even answer that?
Yeah. So right now, I think the data says it takes, I think 6 to 9 months to get housed, according to a few surveys or a few reports. And so when people volunteer, and when they come in proximity to meet somebody, even if they volunteer one time, I always tell them, you're going to volunteer today and you're going to clean showers to somebody or provide laundry for somebody that you may never meet again. And this person may die in the winter, because it's happened before. So please, please, please steward this moment and just listen the best you can, because you may be only the listening ear they have before they pass away. And that story is so true, because a guy, his name is David, he came to us. I gave him a book bag at around 12 o'clock on a Saturday. We were doing outreach. By 8 o'clock, we get a call saying he was murdered. And it was on the news on Fox 23. It was recently. And our book bag was in one of the photos. And so somebody donated that bag to us. And then, we gave it to him. And so volunteers saw that moment, and it really connected with them, because that was David, who they just gave a shower to that morning, right? And so I would, to say if somebody volunteers within their homelessness, it's very hard and probably unrealistic. But for them to come in proximity, to know one person's name, and then take that name back to their family, their friends, their social media influence circle, and say, hey, I met Charles today, and he was pretty cool. He didn't smile a lot, but he was grateful for a shower. And just keep sharing these stories. There will be a ripple effect organically that will help in this space too, because one thing we have to realize that these are still our neighbors. They just have no address. And so they're still valuable. They're still human. They make mistakes. I make mistakes. It's just their mistakes are more visible, right? And more easier to judge within the comfort of our AC car, right? Yeah. Like it's easy for me to say, oh, if I were them, I would do X, Y, and Z. Well, one, you're not. And two, that's probably an unrealistic example of how to get out their homelessness. once again, these are our neighbors, these are our friends, and now these are our family members that just wanted somebody to love on them and know their name. And one lady said, it's been 3 weeks since I heard my name being called. And we said, hey, Susan, your shower's ready. And she froze. She's like, oh, sorry. It's been a while since I heard my name being called. Imagine your name not being called on for your birthday, for Christmas. But then again, it's you feel so valuable and it gets called on for a shower. And that's something we all take for granted, myself included. I've taken it for granted every day. But we can shower. I shower twice a day now because I do it not because I may smell, which sometimes, but I do it because in honor of those who cannot. So every shower, every water droplet that's on me, I'm like, you know what? I'm taking a shower and somebody can't right now. Thank you. I'm just grateful because that could easily be me. But Lord, please provide for them as well. So,
dude, I will say I have a lot of people on here that are very passionate about what they do, and that's part of the reason of why I want to bring them on to kind of share their story. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them share one of the common things that they share is that they're passionate about what they do. That's why they are where they're at.
Correct.
I have never really felt passion from somebody like I have felt it today. So I just want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for what you're doing. The last two questions and one more thing I want to say for anybody that's still listening, because this is hard to hear, to be honest with you. I can definitely see a lot of people listening to this and kind of honestly feel uncomfortable because they just feel ashamed maybe of themselves. And but if you do anything, if you donate, if you volunteer, if you do anything, just be thankful the next time that you shower.
Yeah, step one.
Because that's going to just change whoever the listener is their life. Just because you can't be ungrateful and thankful at the same time. You can't be stressed and thankful at the same time. And in the last two questions I have for you is, how can people find you? And if what message do you have? I know the whole thing has been a message really to our community, to anybody listening, but how can people help?
Yeah. So beheardmovement.org is where you can find more information about us. Step one, actually, you mentioned it, was just be thankful for your shower. Step two is we want to invite you into our mission. Come volunteer at least once before the year's over with. Come meet the team, come hear our story, come get a tour, and just volunteer and know somebody's name. And then carry that name with you, just like Rose. And then also our social media, beheard.mvmt on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We post every day. But also something really practical that's happening next month. Be Heard turns 4 years old October 13th officially. But October 20th, our social media guy, Nate, has been working on a documentary for the past 2-3 months to amplify stories who come get a shower and make it into a documentary film. And to just spread awareness the best we can. You know, we've never done like a professional shot documentary, but we just want to do our best. And so we're running out Circle Cinema October 20th, and that's where we're premiering our first ever open to the public documentary of stories and neighbors that sharing their passion, their stories, their wins, their struggles of what happened this year at Be Heard, this year while they were experiencing homelessness. One person got housed, one person is still homeless, the other person is fighting for their life. One of the people on the documentary, on the news a long time ago, there was a story that a mom put her kid in a washer machine and killed the kid. That's his sister, and he's sharing a little bit of his story of kind of how that all unfolded, things like that. So a real practical step would be obviously follow us on social media. But to October 20th, our documentary comes out, and we would love to just meet. Have you join us. It's 29 minutes long, I believe, and just come there, come visit, and just come listen and soak in.
Yeah, and for anybody that has any type of social media platform, even if you have 10 followers or whatever, one thing that I've heard over and over again from you, it has been like, we need donations, we need this, we need that. You're more passionate about sharing the story and for more people to hear it. And most people think like, I don't have the platform to do it. But I think of, you told me Rose's story, how it went viral, got 4 million views. But then I also hear about how the name of this organization came, and it came from a YouTube video that got 100 views. And there's no way for me to tell. I don't know if there's a way for you to tell, but there's a chance that this video impacted and helped this organization more than 4 million people just watching what was going on. So anybody that's even willing to just share part of the story, I think that that's going a long way. So thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you very much.